Hey, this is Clint Baker from Hillbilly, Hippie, Honeybees, West Virginia's premium honey. Welcome back to our channel. We appreciate all you all that continually support us and stop in and comment and do all that good stuff. It really helps us. We to continue to put out content and to help folks. Our number one goal is to help especially new beekeepers with their journey in beekeeping. Okay, so in a previous video we focused on and talked about 10 myths that non-beekeepers think about beekeeping, honeybees, honey, those types of things. Just to try to clear some of that up a little bit. And so, but this one, we're going to focus on 12, I don't know, not myth truths or myths or things like that, but maybe it's usually the 12 most common questions or concerns or whatever that you want to call it that new beekeepers have. And so some of these are very crucial, and some of these I think discourage new beekeepers into either not growing or just quitting altogether. So let's talk about these a little bit and see what you think. And again, at the bottom down below, comment. If you're an older sage beekeeper, we're 4th generation. But if there's something that you'd like to add to it, add it down in the comments. If there is a question as a new beekeeper you have, add it down in the comments, okay? All right, so number 1, the best beekeepers never lose bees. I'd love to say that's true. But it's not true. Any beekeeper that says they have a 100% success rate year-round, especially through the winter time, you might want to steer clear from them, or they've got something down pat that they should be writing a book about and selling it, because that's typically not the truth. Most beekeepers are trying to look for about a 20 to 25, maybe 30% loss tops during the winter months. Or even for, I guess, for a full year. But that's mainly what we're looking for, right? At least us anyway. If we do better than that, great. If we do worse than that, then we've got some things that we got to think about and try to figure out. Just like this past winter, we lost a whole bee yard, and through that investigation, there's another video on here that you guys can go and watch about that. We learned a mistake that we had made. And even, like I said, being as beekeeping as long as we've done it, 4 generations now, we make mistakes too. So as a new beekeeper, do not get discouraged if you lose bees, all right? Reality is that experienced beekeepers, we have losses as well. Success comes from reducing preventable losses and continually learning. And that's what you need to be doing, is making sure you're continually learning. Don't be so caught up in yourself thinking you are the best out there that you know all the answers. Because I'm going to tell you, I've said this before, beekeeping is like reading the Bible. The longer you do it, the more you do it, the more you realize you don't really know. So, we've had some good years. We've had some bad years. And so don't get discouraged. Just try to figure out why you have lost bees, and then try to prevent that from here on out. All right, so number 2. Now this kind of plays off the number 1. All right, so winter losses mean I failed. No, that doesn't mean you failed. That just means that you've got a learning opportunity, right? Just like we talked about before. So again, experienced beekeepers, we do lose colonies in the wintertime. We try to do our best to prepare them and get them ready for the winter with getting the Varroa mite counts down, making sure that they're fed well, making sure that we give them every opportunity to succeed through the winter. But at the end of the day, it's truly up to God. We're just kind of managing these little insects, if you will, and we're trying to do our best to be good stewards to them. But again, if you can keep your losses between 20 to 25%, then that's great. All right, you're doing something well. All right, we've had a couple winters where we were at like 90% or better. We've had the one that we just talked about a second ago that we lost almost 50% of our bees in. All of it coming from, or the majority of it coming from one out yard that we have. So it's all about learning. Don't quit just because you lose bees. You're going to learn. You're going to lose a lot of bees as you're trying to become a better beekeeper. And there's going to be some experiments you're going to do that are going to fail too. Do we believe that insulating your hives in West Virginia here in our area helps? It may some. I think a windbreak works better, but we don't insulate our hives. It just take too long. So, but anyway, winter bee losses do not mean you failed new beekeepers. It means that you were trying to do things. Just learn from it and move on. All right. So number three is, if bees are bringing in pollen, everything is fine inside the colony. No, they can still be queenless. The colony can be heavy infested with mites, or they can even have a lot of disease and still be bringing in a lot of pollen. They keep doing their work no matter what happens. So just because they are bringing in pollen does not mean that you need to not get in the hive itself and do some inspecting. All right, it can be a good sign that they are, got a good workforce in there, but it doesn't mean that they are 100% healthy. Again, they can be queenless. They can be heavy infested with things. They can have disease, all that, and still continue to do their work. And so you can't tell a lot from the outside of the hive. You need to get in there. So don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled that all I have to do is just look at the outside of the hive and see what's going on. But you can't tell if they have a queen. You can't tell if they are hungry. You can't tell if they have disease. You can't do any of that. You got to get in there and look for that. So yeah, it does. Just because they're bringing in the pollen doesn't mean that everything's great. So get in there and look at your bees from time to time and see what's going on inside the colony. All right, so number four, new beekeeper sometimes thinks more smoke is better. This one's kind of probably an opinion type thing for most folks. More smoke can cause your inspection to be more difficult than more easily, especially, and it puts unnecessary stress on the colony. We only use smoke whenever we know there's like a dearth going on, or if there's other things happening. I got a carpenter bee flying around me. More smoke can do that, but also more smoke can be an issue. So what we do is again, we look for the dearths, things like that. That's when we use smoke. Most of the time we try to get in there and just open up the colony, and if they start being aggressive or spicy or whatever, then we'll break the smoker out and start using it on them. But most of the time we just light it up and set it to the side. That's our experience. It does calm them down, but if you don't need it, our thought is why use it? Again, we'll probably get some naysayers on this one below, but that's how we do things. It just, for us, it works better that way. So more smoke is not always better when it comes to getting inside the hive and doing hive inspections, okay? All right, so number five, more room in the brood chamber equals faster growth and more brood for more colonies, or putting more supers on sooner than you need to will produce more bees quicker because they have more roof. room inside of the colony. Reality is giving them too much empty space too early can slow the progress down. A good rule of thumb is if you've got a single brood box and they have up to 7 frames full of either brood, pollen, honey, or all the above, then you would want to put another, if you're going to run a double deep, another brood box on top by checkerboarding, however you want to do that. The other thing is if you are putting more supers on, same thing. Good rule of thumb, rule of 7, right? So if you got 7 full honey frames, then put them on. Now, there's exceptions to the honey frames. If you know you're not going to be there for a week or so and you just need to put an extra couple boxes on there, great, right? Because there's a flow going on. But what that can do, putting boxes on or giving them more room too soon, is what that can create is them slowing down on their production. Don't know why. What we try to do is we try to keep them crowded and manage that crowd, being a little bit more crowded in there, and it seems to, they produce brood quicker, they produce and grow faster than if we give them too much space. One, it's too much for them to defend, right? It's too much area for them to try to defend from pests and from intruders and invaders, all those different things. So they're too worried about that. And yeah, don't put too many supers on. Don't put don't give them too much space, I guess is what I'm getting at, because giving them too much space can slow their production down on numbers. So that would be a kind of a reality check, if you will, or a myth buster on that more room is better. It's not always better. All right, so that's why we've got to manage and beekeep and not have. All right, so number 6, this might cause a little controversy or a little bit of a debate amongst folks, so I apologize in advance, but let's be very mindful and very polite to people. All right, but number 6 is natural beekeeping means never treating for mites. All right, let's see. Reality, many untreated colonies eventually will succumb to the Varroa mite. All right, I know we're getting some great strides out there on different crossbreeds and things of that nature that will are hygienic enough to help with the Varroa count inside the colony. But let's say you buy that one queen from somebody that is supposed to be very hygienic and they take care of the Varroa mite itself. Well, a couple generations from now, it might not be so hygienic towards the Varroa mite. So you always still want to continue to do your Varroa mite checks. All right, and when people say natural beekeeping, I never treat, well, there are natural ways to treat for Varroa mite, for example. Okay, oxalic acid is natural. All right, it's a natural form. But there are ways to treat naturally, and there's more studies every day about different natural ways to do it, different herbs and different things of that nature. So you can natural beekeep and still treat, all right, for different things. I mean, I've said this in the past before. Think about it. If your chickens have mites, are you just going to let them keep the mites, or are you going to dip them? If your cow, if you raise cattle, if it has pink eye, are you just going to let it naturally get over pink eye, or are you going to treat it and help with that? If cows have flies, are you going to help treat that, or are you just going to let them have issues with that? Your children, if they get lice or if they get sick, are you just going to let them lay in the bed in there and get over it, or are you going to take them to the doctor and try to get something to fix it? So you got to think about, honeybees are like your kids, and so what are you going to do to help them? Okay, we are supposed to be beekeepers again, not bee havers. We're supposed to be managing and all that. So I get it. There are folks out there that don't do anything besides trying to get a good genetic line in, and that takes a lot of managing too, because again, you've got to manage from year to year to make sure those genetics are still in that bee yard or still in that colony. All right, so if you have certain ways that you beekeep naturally that you'd like to share, again, put them down below to help us all out, to give us all some tips and tricks. All right, so again, number 6, natural beekeeping means never treating for mites. Okay, we'll leave it there. So number 7, Varroa mites only affect weak colonies. That's not true. All right, so reality is the strong looking colonies can collapse quickly from high mite loads if they're not monitored. So that's why it's at least important, if you're not going to treat, to monitor. Okay, and don't wait until you can see them by your naked eye on bees. By that time, they're pretty loaded down. Okay, so be making sure that you are testing all your colonies, not just one of them, especially right now. We are in August here in the Appalachian area, and we are having a lot of weird weather. But this is a time where you need to be checking all your colonies for Varroa mites. So it's not just weak colonies that get affected by Varroa mite. Even your strong colonies can be affected by Varroa mites. So again, don't wait until you can see them with your naked eye. Don't wait until this strong hive starts to collapse. Check them now. See if your count is within that 2 to 3% range. If they are, if that's where you want to keep it, good. If you would rather treat. If you don't want to treat, don't treat. That's up to you. You keep bees your ways and let everybody else keep them their way. All right, so number 8. This is probably one that a lot of new beekeepers do too much of, or think they need to do a lot of, or what have you. But more inspections make healthier hives, or a hive should always be open weekly. Especially, again, new beekeepers think that this is the truth or the gospel. Truth is, and reality is that this can be a big mistake. Don't just get into your colonies just because you want to get in there and look at them and play with them or what have you. Because every inspection disrupts the hive. It disrupts, okay, if you're sitting in your house just minding your own business and a bunch of people come in and start moving your furniture around and start doing things in your house that you wouldn't necessarily want them to do, maybe throw smoking in your house or whatever, would that not get on your nerves? And you'd probably get a little upset, right? So that you want to inspect with a purpose. So always have a plan together on, this is what I want to, when I get into my colonies, this is what I want to look for. I want to get in there and I want to, maybe you're doing your Varroa mite test. All right, get in there, do it, and get out. Maybe you're just going in there to look and see how the queen's laying. Get in there, do it, and get out. About 6 to 8 minutes is what you should be looking for. Now, when I tell you that, don't get in there and rush around and accidentally roll and kill the queen. Get in there with a purpose, with a plan, do the checks that you need to do, and then get out, close it up, and move on to the next one. That's always the best way to do it. So it also depends on the season, how many times you need to get in there. Like in the spring, every 7 to 10 days you want to get in there and look. Right now in August, we're not getting into them a lot. Got, again, a little bit of a dearth going on. It's warm. Today it's overcast and rainy. Not a very good day to get in there. So we'll just go around and pick up on the back ends of the boxes and see what the weight feels like on them, and then move on to the next one. The only other thing we're doing right now is we're going to run maybe a shot of oxalic acid in some of the ones that we know had a little bit higher mite count in. But other than that, we're not going to do a lot until we start seeing the goldenrod pop up here. And that's the way we do it. So however you want to do that. But again, always have a plan. No matter what it is, no matter what time of the year it is, no matter when you're getting in there, always have a plan. This is what I want to get in there and look for. All right. Number 9. I've always got to see the queen every time I get in to do my inspection. Or if I don't see her, she's gone. Well, that's not true. A better way to know if your queen is in there, and it's quick to look at, right, is there fresh eggs, day-old eggs, look like little pieces of rice? Or is there all signs of brood, all the way from the egg, the larvae, the pupae, the larvae, all that, is all of that in there? If that's in there, you don't need to see the queen. You know that she is in there. She's pliable. She's healthy enough to be laying. She's doing her thing. So just because you don't see the queen does not mean that you're not in there. We've got a couple colonies that we hardly ever see the queen in there, but she lays bricks, or both of them do. Sometimes you get what's called runners. They like to run all over the place, and you don't hardly ever see them. Sometimes they're the way they're colored, or the way they are shaped, or whatever. They kind of blend in, with everything else that's in there. And depending on what time of the year it is, the amount of bees that are in there, it's hard to find one bee and amounts to 60 to 80,000 bees. Okay, so just because you don't see her doesn't mean she's not in there. So you don't need to always see her to know that she's in there. Again, look for the eggs, look for the different levels of brood, and that's really all you need to see to be able to tell that she's in there. Number 10, a bigger hive always produces more honey. This is not always the truth. Now, the reality is colony health, queen quality, how many forager bees you have, weather, timing matters more than actually the size of the colony itself. So what does that mean? That just means that the timing of the bloom, the timing of the weather, the timing of how many bees you have in there, forager bees, a lot of that means a lot more than the size of the colony. Some of our better honey producers aren't the biggest colonies, and we've actually got one that's a huge colony year after year after year, and it produces a lot of propolis, but it doesn't produce a ton of honey. It produces some, but not a ton of honey. But just because it's a great big hive does not mean that it's going to produce a lot of honey. Again, what's the colony's health? The queen, is she doing good? Those types of things. So bigger is not always better. Number 11, bees will figure everything out on their own. All right, they need our assistance, okay? While they are smart, and they've been doing this for thousands of years, and sometimes we do handle them too much, all right? But they do need us to be beekeepers. They need us to help with managing what, their colonies, especially the ones that we have right here. Of course, you can't manage feral hives, but the ones that you have in your backyard or in your bee yard or whatever you have, we can help them, okay? You all guys always see running around on the videos our 2 dogs. Well, we just don't let them do whatever they want. We've trained them. My wife will disagree with that. We've trained them a little bit. Okay, they're spoiled. But we do feed them. We have certain things that they do, and that we expect out of them. So the same with your bees, right? So yes, they can figure a lot out on their own, and they have lived for thousands of years without us. But they also needs our assistance to be able to help them grow and prosper. Number 12, One good season means I'm an experienced beekeeper. I wish, because if that was the case, we would be the most experienced beekeepers in the valley. But that's not always the truth. It depends, every year presents different issues. It could be weather. It could be a new bee yard that you're challenged with. Nectar flow. This year, our nectar flow has been so off. Down here in the southern part of West Virginia, we've not seen goldenrod blooming yet. Up towards Parkersburg and in the northern part of West Virginia, I was up there a week ago and I saw some of the first blooms of goldenrod. And it normally doesn't start until the end of this month, beginning of next, all right? So we've got that going on. So you got different pests. There's some yards where we have a lot of hive beetles that we fight, and then there's some yards that don't have a one in there. So just because you have experienced one good year or 2 good years does not make you an experienced beekeeper. That just means that you are keeping them alive and you're learning. Again, for us, every year is a learning experience for us. You have to change the way you look at each colony. You have to change the way you look at each bee yard, and that can be from month to month, not just year to year. So while that's an awesome job that you had a good, successful season, and I will give you kudos for that, don't get too prideful, or God will humble you quickly. We promise you that real quick. So always just think about, what can I do to improve? All right, be humble, be a good beekeeper, and continue to have good seasons year after year after year. All right. All righty. Well, I hope that clears up and answers some of the questions and stuff that we have had from new beekeepers. If you have other questions that we didn't cover here, again, comment below. We'll be happy to maybe put another one of these together. And if there's something that we left out, share down below. That way we can all learn. I'm sure we did. I'm sure I left out a few things because, you can only cover so much in a certain amount of time. But we appreciate all of you for dropping in again. We appreciate the new folks. We appreciate those who continually come and watch and support us. And, for those that haven't, we just ask you to please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button. And please come back anytime. We will be here. We'll continue, even if there's just one of you, we'll continue to download some stuff for you, all right? So we thank you. God bless you. We love you. We'll see you next time.